Hello and welcome back to the show. I'm sure you saw my guest, and by now you're also wondering all these questions and all these rumors flying about and all these achievements, how were they attained? And that's why I'm here to find out. Now that we're all seated, Michelle, is Michelle American or is Michelle Ghanaian?
Actually, I say I'm West African. No, I'll explain.
I'm not even going to go there. But yes, explain. You are?
My father is Ghanaian. West African.
West African, okay.
It's a combination of West Indian, British, and Ghanaian. No American at all. I just lived in America. So my dad is Ghanaian, of course.
Okay.
And my mother is from Barbados, West Indies. And they met in London as students and fell in love. And voila, I happened in London. So...
So is that McKenna or is that Hammond?
Hammond is my dad. George Hammond.
George Hammond is your dad. Fanti or Ga?
Fanti.
Fanti.
From Cape Coast.
And do you speak any Fanti?
Just a little bit.
Well, with Fanti, you don't have much of a problem because you speak very good English. You just need very little vocabulary in Fanti.
That's what I've been told.
And then just mix it and you'll be fine. So you'll be fine. Okay. And then McKenna.
McKinney is my American dad that my mother married when we moved to America. So that's why I have two last names, because they were both great men, great fathers, and so I honor them both by having both of their names.
Wow. Wow. And you grew up in America, or you grew up in Ghana?
I grew up in Barbados. I went to school in Barbados, and then I moved to America and finished my education in America.
Did you live in UK, or you didn't do
briefly,
any much?
Until I was 2.
Very brief.
Very briefly.
Very
Long
brief.
enough to get a British accent and be transplanted elsewhere. How's that?
And that was that. And that was that. So, growing up in America, how has it shaped you to be Michelle Hammond, Michelle McKenna Hammond?
You can say Michelle Hammond. I
Michelle
use that most of the
Hammond,
time.
yeah.
I would have to say I was still raised very much according to the principles of my mother's West Indian upbringing, which is very close to Ghanaian.
Yeah.
So there's really no separation there. I always say that the people from Ghana went to Barbados and the people from Nigeria went to Jamaica.
One is more placid and one is more...
Exactly,
you know,
a little more aggressive. And I have just a little bit of that because I'm Michelle Ayodele McKinney Hammond. So I have a little bit of Nigeria in me.
There,
so
just in
that's
case
the aggression. That's the aggression part.
For when you need it.
Exactly. But I would say that America sharpens you as a professional person. And it broadens your outlook on life to a certain degree. I believe that actually people who live outside of America have a broader view of the world and of who they are as citizens of the world, whereas Americans are a little bit more myopic and tend to feel that America is the world. But of course, since I came from outside of the world, I always understood that wasn't so.
Okay.
It's kind of an interesting place when you're a cross-cultural person, because I think that there's a natural confidence that third world people have, Africans and West Indians, because we see ourselves in leadership, we see ourselves running things, we see ourselves owning our space, whereas in America, their background is quite different. They are transplants. They come out of a slavery background. And even though they've made advances as a black people, there's still those stigmas in their mind and limitations and glass ceilings that they create in their minds, because that's been perpetuated throughout generations. So when third world people come on the scene, we're seen as arrogant people because we come with a natural confidence of anything being possible. I remember when Obama was running for president, and a lot of my male friends were like, a black man will never be president of America. And I said, this man is going to win, and I don't see why you can't see that. But in their minds, it had never happened. But I'd seen black presidents. I'd seen African men in leadership, kings and pharaohs, you know. So it wasn't an impossibility to me. So I think that having I've had the best of both worlds. I've had the skill sharpening set of things from America, where there's a level of excellence that you must achieve if you're going to do anything. So you can't be lazy in America. You can't be laid back in America. Everything has to happen yesterday. And so there's an aggression to life and getting things done.
Michelle, did you grow up knowing that I'm going to write books? You know? Are you written 40 of them?
It's true. You know, it's very interesting. After my first book was published, my mother said, I'm not surprised. I said, really? And she said, yeah. She said, you know, you were always writing as a child. There's boxes in the basement of your poems and your songs and short stories. And I really had faded from my mind because, you know, I mean, we get into the rhythm of living life and we do what we feel is necessary to exist. And I loved English in school. I loved any assignment that was about writing or telling a story.
Yep.
I did naturally gravitate towards the arts and theater and singing. So, of course, then I had to write a song or two. But for me, it rolled over into other creative areas that were going to make money for me. So I ended up studying graphic arts because I was also an artist.
Okay.
So I studied graphic arts and commercial illustration and went on to be an art director at the largest African American advertising agency in America, Burrell Communications. One day I couldn't find my writer and I wanted to write this commercial. So I wrote it myself. And when I went into the meeting and presented my television commercial, they said, oh, you're a writer. And I said, no, I'm not a writer, I'm an art director. They said, no, you're a writer. And so they promptly took my writer away from me and told me I could write my own things. Well, I was very upset at first. I thought they were just trying to get 2 jobs for the price of 1. But after a while, I figured out that if I wrote it and art directed it, I would get to go on the trip to LA or New York to shoot it.
So why not?
So I settled into that very nicely. But that resurged all the writing that I'd forgotten about in school.
I mean, you have Coca-Cola, McDonald's
Yes.
as your clients, and
Ford Motor Company,
Ford,
General,
GMC.
yeah.
I mean, these are big boys.
Yes,
So,
yes, all the blue chip accounts.
You know, how did you find time to write, or did you start writing after you'd let go of these clients?
Well, funny story. I did it afterwards. While I was in the commercial world, of course, I took advantage of meeting a lot of different people. And because I did television and radio and print advertisements, I met a lot of musicians. And so after hours, after we were finished producing Coca-Cola jingles and things, we'd sit in the studio and write songs. So I actually got a music publishing deal. Actually, I was writing songs with the guys that do the things with Rihanna and Beyonce now.
Okay.
One of my songwriting co-people was the guy who produced Umbrella and Single Ladies. Just talked to him last night, as a matter of fact. On the phone, we were talking about, can you remember so-and-so and so-and-so?
Of course, I know you have 2 CDs out.
Yeah, I have 4, actually.
4, okay.
Yes, I have 4.
Okay.
So that was like my little part-time thing that I did on the side because I would present to clients. I would, you know, act out the commercial. And they said, well, you sound good. Why don't you sing it yourself? Or why don't you do the announcing? So I was doing voiceovers and singing and then writing these songs after hours. So that kind of brought back up all the stuff from when I was in school. Well, I got let go from the agency because they were having cutbacks. Actually, they fired me because I was difficult, but that's a whole other story. And at that time, no, I got fired twice, you know. They fired me, then they rehired me because they needed me. Then they fired me again, and then they hired me freelance. So that just lets you know. But anyway,
so
after I got let go,
they couldn't live with you, and they couldn't live without you.
They couldn't live with me, and they couldn't live without me.
Okay.
Oh, sounds like the men in my life. But anyway.
We'll get there. We'll get there.
I've opened a can of worms now for sure.
You're still watching PM Express and still getting very inquisitive. All the hot questions are just coming up. Stay tuned. At the moment, you know, she's been fired, hired, fired, and now back at freelance.
Right. So during that time, I was doing other jobs. I was doing voiceover things, and I was walking across the street one day on my way to an audition for a voiceover when I got hit by a car.
Yeah.
And I ended up in bed for 1.5 years, had to learn to walk again. 3 operations later, My friends gathered around my bed and looked at me and said, "What do you think God is saying to you?" I said, "I don't know." She said, they said, "Well, what about that book you started writing about 5 years ago?" My mentor had encouraged me to write a book. At the time, I was a new Christian, had a lot of friends who were single. A lot of our time was spent sitting around moaning and groaning about being single and how to balance that with our Christianity and live the life God wanted us to live, but also be able to get the man that we wanted. So it raised a lot of questions, and as I was sharing with her things that I had learned and new perspectives I had gained, she said, "You should write a book about that. No one's written about that." I said, "I can't write a book." She said, "Girl, as much as you like to talk, you can write a book. It's just one long conversation for you." So I said, "Well, so I kind of fooled around with one chapter to try my skills.
And that was how to...
What to do until love finds you.
Until love finds you. What to do until love finds you.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I wrote a chapter, and I thought, that's cute. And I put it away and got distracted by life again because, of course, it was about making money, And I didn't really see where that was going to come in with the book yet. So after all of the adventures of my job and finally being cut back and being hired freelance to do a documentary film for McDonald's, I got hit by the car. And I had all the time in the world to then revisit the book.
Now, with the book, I'm very inquisitive because I know there are lots of people out there single who are trying to find who they love. But you will say, no. You should do something until life finds you.
Exactly.
Now, what do you do?
Live your life. And it should be a full life. It should
That
be
simple?
a rich life. Yes, I mean, there's a lot to do. I always tell single people that
You need to change your hairdo, longer nails, higher heels.
Well, it's not about that. It's about discovering who you are, why you were created, what is your purpose in life, and what do you have to contribute to the world. I don't think that anyone should just be here sucking up the air and distracting and taking away from the world and not giving anything to the world. We're all here to be contributors as citizens of the world. So I think that it's very important for people to capitalize on their gifts, whether that be hospitality or something more intellectual like IT. Whatever it is, you have something that you can contribute to the betterment of mankind. Even on an individual basis. If you make one person smile today, that's the betterment of mankind.
I've smiled a lot today.
Exactly.
So you've done good. I've smiled a lot today. But let me interrupt and say, when you wrote the book, did you win? Did you become successful? I mean, did love find you?
Love has found me a lot of times. If I've chosen to respond to it is another question.
So the book worked.
Yeah.
The book worked in a way.
Oh, it works. I mean, all my books work. Secrets of an Irresistible Woman, 101 Ways to Get and Keep His Attention, How to Be Found by the Man You've Been Looking for.
We're going to try and summarize all that. I wish I had 3 days here. I really wish I had 3 days here because I have so much. We need to summarize all that. See, the reason why I asked that is a little birdie tells me that you're not married.
Right, I'm not.
The same little birdie tells me that you are very, very good at coaching people in that direction. Now say it in Twi and then I'll translate it in English.
Okay.
They say so that if the naked man comes to you and says, "I am going to clothe you," look at him standing there and think twice.
Yes, I've heard that many times.
You've heard that many times. So that's what I'm going to ask you, that don't people then now get cautious and hold on, well, if she's so good at patching relationships, why hasn't she got one? Even though there's a track record that it works, because you sold 2 million.
Yeah.
You sold 2 million.
And I've gotten lots of pictures of diamond rings and wedding invitations to boot.
So why is your success not being, works with others but others work with you?
Is that success, though? Can we ultimately say that getting married is success?
No. If that's what I wanted to do, so I bought your book and said, "Oh, now this is." So I bought your book, things to do until you find love, and it tells me that just be yourself, live your life, so that whoever you find is someone who loved you for you. And I did it, and it worked. To me, it's success. So then I turn around and say, "But the guy who wrote the book, why hasn't she done that too?"
But they should ask me what my goal is. That might not be my goal.
What's the goal? What's her goal?
My goal is to fulfill my call on my life.
Yeah.
the reason that God created me, and organically fold into things that make me more effective as I go along. So I've spent a lot of time traveling the world, speaking to other people, and I can admit that I have not had time to invest into a relationship. Because if I'm going to do a relationship, I'm going to do the relationship according to what I've written for other people to follow. You understand?
Yeah.
I must practice what I preach. So I have to be the best gauge of when I can do that. I think that we all have seasons of our lives. Let me just say that I am not single because of lack of options or opportunities. There have been choices that I've made.
Okay.
And I think that most single people are single not by force.
Okay.
They would say, oh, yeah. But it's not true. They weren't interested in who was interested in them.
It's true.
We've all had opportunities to be married. We've all had opportunities to date people. But were they who we wanted to date, or were they who we wanted to marry?
We'll come back to the books, but an inner feeling or spiritual, your connection with God told you that, Michelle, you need to relocate.
Yes.
And when you relocate, I will show you something, tell you something, promise you something. So you did the relocation.
Yes.
Now, number one, not many people can brave that because you are in your comfort zone. You
Yeah.
are happy.
Yeah.
You're not lacking. You're not wanting.
Right.
Now you need to come, even though it's home, it's not quite home for you.
It is. Totally.
Anyway,
Ghana is home to me.
Ghana is home to you.
When I go to the States now, my threshold is 2 weeks and I got to get out.
Wow. Wow.
I'm like, I am so ready to get out of here. All my friends are very insulted by that. They say, are you sure? Because they haven't accepted I've moved yet. You know, they keep saying, when are you going to cut this foolishness out and move back? I'm never coming back unless God says so.
How long have you stayed so far?
I've been here almost 3 years now, permanently.
Now, I did my little research, personal research, that it takes 5 years to settle in Ghana.
Yeah.
So you go through the first year when people still ask you, when did you come? And then you go through the second year when people ask you, when are you going back? And then you have the third year where they ask, are you here or are you there?
Oh, maybe I'm there.
You know.
I think that's the point I'm at. Yeah, I
So,
think everyone said,
after-
are you here or there?
You know, and then
Yeah.
after 5 years, they know, oh, no, she's here to stay. So you got 2 years to
I
go.
have 2 years to go
You
to
have 2 years
prove to
co-
you that I'm not
prove
going anywhere.
that you're
Okay.
not going anywhere. So
All
you got
right.
2 years to go. But in the meantime, I take you here.
Okay,
I take
I'm
it that
here.
you're here.
I'm here.
Now, has God told you the reason why you should come to Ghana? Because your horizons might be bigger than the market in Ghana. You're big, 2 million books.
It's unfolding. It's unfolding slowly. But I think one of the things that was said to me was, I just believe that God is going to use you as a bridge. And one of the things I've been privileged to do is to have a lot of Americans come to Ghana.
Okay.
You know, and that has just really been a blessing to me because there's so many preconceived notions about Africa and what is it like. And it's amazing how many people are afraid or just have really old, antiquated assumptions about our country and who we are as a people. So for them to come and fall in love with the people and fall in love with the country and be changed by that experience has been amazing. So I'm hoping to do that on a bigger level as I move along, and to be able to utilize talent and bridge the gap between our actors and actresses and the creative community that I know in America, and just really add to our excellence. I feel that that's what I'm called to do at this point, to sharpen, to tune, and I think that Ghana has something for me in the sense of much more spiritually, emotionally, and as a woman, just calming and quieting and learning how to live life on a different level, which is more relational, more experiential, and more from the heart. And I think that that's very rich.
We're going to take a quick break. When I come back, we'll talk a bit more about your Ghana family and if you're in touch with them. Folks, I'm talking to Michelle Hammond, and it's intriguing. I told you. Well, I didn't tell you, but I knew she was a talkative, and this is going to be a fantastic interview. But we're going to talk about some of her books. You know, she's written some of the books which I think, you know, will be interesting to find out why she came up with those titles and what was written in the book. Stay tuned. Hello and welcome back to the show. Just before we went on a break, I wanted to delve into Michelle's family, the Ghana side of her family. Who's here? Are they talking? And then after that, books, and plenty of them. Some of the titles I said are very intriguing. Michelle, family, mom, dad, aunties, because we Ghanaians can be like West Indies or Indians, if I may say, with 10 cousins and 150th cousin and name it. Have you got a big family?
Yeah, my siblings are here. I have an uncle here, and a couple of aunts, and lots of cousins. And then friends. Friends become family, don't they?
Friends become family, and sometimes very important.
Very important.
Sometimes very important.
Yes.
But with Bloodline family, are you in touch with them since you're back in Ghana? Or?
Well, we're estranged right now, I will say.
They haven't read your books?
I don't think so. That's a good way to put it.
Now, if you're Michelle's family out there watching the program, go get the book and read it and get in touch. Michelle, there's a book you've written saying how to be happy where you are. Because most of the time, we are never pleased with where we are. Oh, the house is too small. The job is too tedious. The air conditioning is too cold. We are always not happy where we are. But you're writing a book saying that we should be happy where we are. Now, how do you do that?
Well, you take stock of what you have to be thankful for as opposed to what you think you don't have. It's always easy to see what we don't have, but look at all that we do have. What is it they say? There was a man who felt sorry for himself because he had no shoes until he saw a man who had no feet. So we should always have a journal of what we're grateful for, and remind ourselves of those things every day. And then consider where we are and how to move forward from that point. What do you want to have? Do you have a plan for getting what you have? Because you have to do something. Faith without works is dead.
Yeah.
Right? So just taking stock of where you are and being grateful for the little things usually increases your joy level and moves you forward to attain other things. I think if you get stuck in the what I don't have and the complaining mode, it's very hard to look beyond that and move past it. And then there's a place where faith comes in. What are you trusting God for? And does He know what's best for your life? You have to make peace with where you are.
Wow. Now, this is for all the women out there. How to be found by the man you've been looking for. Not how you go and find them. I find it intriguing. And I told Michelle, all your titles are reversed.
Yeah.
All your titles are reversed. Because if I was writing this book, and obviously I'm not Michelle, I would have just said, how to find the man you're looking for. Isn't that what you are supposed to do? How to find the man you're looking for?
No, the man should find you. Because men are hunters. It's in their DNA. So they can't be caught by the game. You understand?
Yeah.
So men are very interesting in the sense that they'll respond to you if you are an aggressive woman. If they have nothing else to do, they'll respond until they find what they're hunting for. So I just always feel that when women pursue men, it's a setup for them to be disappointed later. Because when a man wants you, he comes after you.
So you need to...
And I think African men really know that.
So I'm stuck for it. So you need to position yourself.
Position yourself, yes. Be out and about. Be busy about life. Living it richly and fully. Being an interesting person. Don't just be interested, as a friend of mine, Lucy Swindoll, says, be interesting.
Are you still writing?
Yes, most definitely. I just finished a new book that will be out in August called The Real Deal on Men and Love.
Michelle, I read somewhere, and you said that, contribution to a relationship, it's, 100 from the man and 100 from the woman.
Most definitely.
And I totally disagree. I think it used to be about 90 from the woman and 10% from the man. And then with generation and technology and understanding, I would say a man should give about maximum 40%, and 60% from the woman.
Are we saying should or do? Which one are we saying?
For the relationship to work, should. The woman should give not less than 60%, otherwise the relationship breaks down. At 40%, we are pushing it. And I'm actually being generous because of the camera. If the camera is turned off, I'll reduce the percentage. But for the camera's sake, I'd say 40%.
I see. Okay. Well, we should give 100%. Relationships are not about what you can get. They're about what you can give. And in the giving you get. It is the same parallel spiritually. When we give our all to God, we get more than that from God. So I think that it's very important for us not to start measuring our output, because what it does is it brings a lot of things into the relationship that create tension and strife. If I just give of myself to a person that I love completely, because it actually gives me joy to do so. I'm not counting, is he giving me back 10% or 20% or whatever. Of course, there's an equation where both of us need to be fed. But I think that becomes apparent along the way. And the other thing that we have to understand is that there are seasons in a relationship. There might be a season where that man is giving 100% and the woman's giving nothing. And then it flips. And the woman is giving everything and the man is giving nothing. Because of where they are, things that they're dealing with, tensions of life, work, career, other outside forces that bear on the relationship. So there has to be understanding. So in the end, the equation is 100-100 because you have to look at the full picture and not the day-to-day.
I won't argue. But I'm going
Does that make sense?
It does.
Okay.
It does. Even though I was going to argue that at the end of the day, the equation will be, let's say we got married for 40 years, and then we did the equation, we'll realize that the woman along the line put in more than the man did. For all the relationships that would last, if you take 10 relationships, 9 out of the 10 that lasted that long, you realize that the woman was more forgiving, more understanding, more giving, more patient, and if there was a way to tally it, you find out that the woman always gave more than the men did. That's why they got that. I
would agree with you. I would agree with you, and I would say that the reason for that is that women are built for that. We don't like this scripture, but when we see it in the right context, we understand the power of it. When it says the woman was created for the man, that God knew that the man needed the woman to be able to fulfill the assignment that he gave to men. So women have a special grace for that. It's not something they think about. It's inherently within them. It's in their DNA. And so there's not a lot of effort associated with it because it naturally comes out of them. Good. So it's not work for us.
Now, because you're a relationship coach, we're going to go into relationships.
Okay.
Now, I'm going to go all the way back to Adam. Now, I read somewhere that Adam's first wife wasn't actually Eve. She was called Lilith. Now, Lilith was... she was like Michelle. She was a woman of her own. She wasn't going to be confined to the kitchen or the garden plucking tomatoes. No, she wanted to be out and about. So the relationship broke down. And then the archangel Samuel married off Lilith and ran away.
Samuel was the archangel?
So we're coming down to today. And I am saying that, you see, the arrangement between Adam and Eve, the arrangement between Abraham and Sarah at that time, it's different from it is today. But yet still, you find 20-year-olds today going into a relationship with the same motive. Now, women are hunters. I mean, you've written sold 2 million books. I mean, that is a hunter, by all accounts. Once upon a time, you couldn't have allowed, you wouldn't be able to do that. You probably wouldn't be allowed to go to school to write a book. So
really?
Yes. Only once upon a time, women were not. Well, you had to stay home and cook and clean, and even if there was money to pay school fees, and they could only afford one, they would school the man and not the woman. But now things have changed. So I am saying that because we don't have the same equal measure and equal thinking going into marriage today, that's why we're breaking up. Because we still think that, the woman's place is in the kitchen and stay at home and look after the kids. But it's not as much as it was in Abraham and Sarah's days.
Well, actually, when we do a full study of the Bible, we find out that there were very many entrepreneurial women throughout the Word of God. Lydia was a very wealthy trader in her time in the New Testament who invited Paul and the apostles in. There's the Proverbs 31 woman who was quite the entrepreneurial business person. She had real estate. She worked with the merchants in the marketplace. She was well known. You know, she was a very prominent woman in her own right, who made her husband look very good. So there are lots of women in the Bible who were career women.
But those stories are not highlighted.
Well, they're not highlighted because people choose not to highlight them, but they're there. So the evidence is there that everyone was not at home in the kitchen. And I think that I want to say that there is a power to being at home in the kitchen, because women need to realize that they are raising nations. They are raising world leaders. You know, a mother raised Saddam Hussein and a mother raised Mahatma Gandhi. What was the difference? We don't know. I'd love to see what those two different mothering styles were. Women are the nurturers of their husbands and create integrity in them or broken character in them based on the things that they whisper to them on their pillow at night. So women are very powerful, whether they're at home or whether they're in the marketplace. They bring great weight to what happens in the world because of their input.
You see, what has happened, let me just come in there. It's, let's say, you know, you give a dog a bad name and hang it. What we've done is, I agree with you that the most powerful place in every society is probably even the kitchen.
Most definitely.
The kitchen. However, we've given the kitchen a bad name. So the women who own the kitchen now don't want to go there because it feels that if I go there, I'm being denigrated. But if we had elevated the kitchen to where you were saying, maybe then there wouldn't be that competition that, oh no, even though I'm a woman, I have to be a boxer, I have to be a wrestler, I have to be in the army. And they would have said, no, I will stay in the kitchen and I'll tell you how to go and box.
Yeah, well, I think that women haven't been told their value enough or how powerful they are as women. So it tends to leave a lot of women flexing their muscles and trying to prove to the world through very overt actions that they are powerful. But it doesn't really take all of that. Wars have been fought over women. Kings have left their thrones for a woman. So let's understand how powerful we are as women and celebrate whatever post we have. Whether you are the vendor on the corner frying plantain, I'm looking for you. I'm looking for you in the evening for my plantain. I can't cook it like that. There's a special spice that only you have at your corner. You understand what I'm saying? So I just think that people need to celebrate where they are and realize that they all contribute in some way to the greater picture. When you put a puzzle together, you don't see the puzzle pieces fighting for their space. They each know that they fit somewhere and that without them, the picture is not complete.
Michelle, so I'm going back to my question on the high divorce rate. And apparently, I think the percentage is like, 70% within the first year just fall off, and then the rest, 50% of the rest would even survive. And my argument is, because we're still going into marriage with the same idea that the Bible teaches, the woman should be, meek and mild.
Well, I don't think that's what the Bible teaches. And I think that if you went into marriage adhering to what the Bible teaches, you would not be divorced. I think that the world system has done a great damage to marriages. It has created a form for selfishness, for me, I, opera singer syndrome. It's created the attitude that we don't have to work at relationships, and that if both people are working, I can afford to leave you. I don't have to put up with this. No one works at marriage anymore. That whole theology has gone out the window. For better, for worse, for richer, for poor, till sickness, in sickness and in health till death do us part, are just words that are spoken at the altar, but no one says, did you hear what you just said? And can you really be committed to the commitment that you're making? But, we can't even compartmentalize that, because the divorce rate is on par with how committed we are in every other area of our lives, whether it's to your job, whether it's to a friendship, or any other sphere of your existence. You can't compartmentalize character. There are people who are stick in it till death do us part type of people. They're that way with their friendships. They're that way at work. They're that way with their marriage. So they will have long-term relationships across the board. Then you have another sector of people who have not been taught the importance of a commitment or the understanding of what covenant is. The covenant is to the death do us part. And so if it is till death do us part, divorce is not an option. So how do we make this work? We sit down. We treat our marriage like it's a business. When you go to work, you assess the areas that are not working and you fix them. But what we do now is we say, I'm not happy. I'm out. Well, you know what? You're going to get out. You're going to get in another relationship, and the same thing will happen again because you didn't learn to work on your relationship. So you will take that same problem with you. There's a saying, wherever you go, there you are.
I like that.
Yes, wherever you go, there you are.
But I just want, from what you just said, I just want to go to your next book, which is How to Get the Best Out of Your Man. I mean, that must be very, very difficult because men can be stubborn. You know, we can be
When
stubborn.
they're manipulated, yes.
So, I mean, for the ladies listening, how do they get the best out of their men?
Well, men are very competitive by nature. So if you do the right things, he's going to try to best you in those areas. And I always tell women that inspiration works better than demands. Okay? If I came to you and I said, I really need you to do this for me, would you really say no to me if I'm saying that I need something from you?
No.
Okay. But if I come and I say, you better do so and so, and I want you to do this, and you...
Well, you watch me, because I'm out of here.
Exactly my point. So there's an art of restraint that every woman needs to master with her man. And she needs to learn what turns him on and what inspires him to be better than who he is today. And then you walk according to that. You serve him, you love him, and you give him the room to become who God created him to be.
Oh, that's profound. That is profound. I'm going to throw it. Do you like shopping?
I love shopping. Are you kidding? Who doesn't love
I just wanted to
shopping?
throw that in before I forget. I just wanted to throw that in before I forget. Now I'm going to go back in settling in Ghana. Very placid people, very welcoming. But things can be slow. Things that could be done in 5 minutes in America could be 2 weeks. 2 weeks. So how are you adjusting? One thing I find is, you said America shapes me up and it does me this and does this, so you become a certain person.
Yes.
Discipline, that. And then you come here and you realize that if you stick to those principles, you might have a heart attack. Somebody cuts you out in traffic and this. So how much of all those experience that you gathered do you let go so you can settle comfortably?
You have to let go of a lot. You do. I remember the first time I came to Ghana. We were supposed to be going to a lunch at 2. And I rushed to get ready. Because now, the funny thing is, in America, I'm considered late. But my late is like 15 minutes, and everyone's highly irritated. So they do little things like tell me that it's 1:30 instead of 2, so I'll get there by 2. Things like that. So I said, that must be the inherently DNA part of me as a Ghanaian. Because I've been late. And when I have to do things, especially with white people in America, then I'm a nervous wreck because they're always on time. They're early, as a matter of fact. So when I got here, we were going to have lunch at 2. I rushed to get ready, and I called my cousin who was supposed to be going with me. She was just drawing her bath. I said, what is this? Oh, nobody's going to be there. It's okay. And I was having a heart attack. I think we finally got there around 4 o'clock, and we were the first to arrive. What kind of lunch is this? So, now I'm like, please.
I get that.
I'm loving it. I've settled in.
Another thing that might frustrate you is customer service.
Oh, yes. Yes.
How are you dealing with customer service? Because sometimes the attitude is that I am doing you a favor.
Well, I am known for those that work with me to give small lectures. I refuse to settle into that mentality, and I refuse to allow people that I meet to stay the same. And I think that if we all had that attitude, that things would change. You see, I come from America where the prevailing mode of thought is that black people are lazy, black people are slow, and I like to defy those types of thoughts. I don't like it when we live up to stereotypes that are not positive. So anyone who has worked for me, whether it's a carpenter or whatever, I will sit them down and I will say, listen, this is unacceptable. Have pride in yourself. I mean, this is a legacy that you're creating with your life now. Your children are watching, your wife is watching, your community is watching. We have to do better. I want us to be a country that when people come and they visit, they go, wow, those people are really on the ball. They've got it together. Those people are moving and shaking over there. They've got it going on. I mean, as opposed to them going away and saying, the people are nice, but they're lazy and they don't do this and they're dishonest. And we have to change that paradigm. And we have the power to do it. And it's one person at a time with a made-up mind that I am not going to sink into the normal system. I'm going to rise above it and excel.
You've been to Ghana, so by all means, I'm sure you've turned on the TV or walked past the radio and politics.
Yes.
Do you think we are a little bit politically inclined? Probably not a little bit overly.
Overly political. Politics should not run your life. It should not relegate your friendships and your business connections. Those things should be relegated according to the excellence of the person. Stand alone. I mean, as we know, a president can die. And then what? You know, and I always, even in America, I say, look, there's only one Jesus who's come to save you. So this whole mindset that whoever is in office is the person that's going to be the savior and save us, no. They are there to spearhead the working of the country. They're not responsible for the working of the country. We are responsible as a people for the working of the country. And so each of us individually must do our part. I think, was it John Kennedy who said, ask not what your country can do for you, but ask what you can do for your country. And I firmly agree with that. I feel sorry for presidents. I don't know why they sign up for the job. I would not. I think it's terrible. They're misused and abused, and there's nothing that they can do that can make anyone happy, no matter who they are, you know, whether it's NDC or NPP or whatever. We'll never be happy with that one person in office. So we must decide as a people, what are we going to do to make our country better? How do we work individually to become a corporate body of people who make our country different and healthy and productive? So for me, I think that politics reigns a bit too much in our lives.
Okay.
I think that we should make educated choices for who our leaders are, because what comes down from the head will affect the body. But the body must still work and function in a healthy way.
Michelle, that's your camera. And before I wrap up, I want you to tell all ladies out there, give them some spirit or some hope or something from Michelle from me.
Just the ladies? Ladies, know your power. Embrace it, celebrate it, and use it in a soft and beautiful way. And men, know your power and know that women need you and that we long for you to rise up and be who God created you to be. And I think that together then we make power couples that make a difference in society that's for the better.
On that note, I want to say thank you very much, Michelle. I have enjoyed this interview, and that was Personality Profile in Style. Next Friday, we'll be back with a different personality. My name is Nana Ansakwao, and thanks for watching.